Okay, I'm here. It's the Lisper Podcast. Y'all know it's your boy Tyrone, who is also known as the Lisper, and I'm the host. The Decepticons here. Macho Man is here. Freddy's here. The belts are here, y'all. See, I changed the belt up, yeah, because the season about to start, baby. The season about to start, and the NBA season is coming up. So the belts are here. Of course, you know. The co-host is definitely 100% in the building, and he's made his contribution, and here it is. And there it goes. Okay, so now today's episode is called the MOAT because I did the GOAT list, greatest of all time wrestling edition. I did the GOAT list, greatest of all time women's wrestling edition. And I did the BOAT list, the bummiest of all time wrestling edition. And now I'm doing the MOAT list. That's right, the MOAT list, the most mid card of all time. Now, look, you may have an opinion on what you call mid card or what you call superstar. But right now, I'm gonna do the greatest mid cards of all time. And right now, before I even start with the greatest mid cards of all time, I'm gonna start with the mid cards of right now. And you may not agree with this list of right now, but I'm gonna just say it, okay? Right now, who's killing the mid cards in the WWE? Okay, I got Jay Uso. Okay? And y'all, I know y'all want to call the main event Jay, and I know y'all want to go 4 letters, one word, yeet. I know y'all want to do that. I know y'all yeeting and skeeting and all that, what y'all doing. But Jay Uso's not main event Jay Uso. He's one of those dudes that's a mid card dude. He can make the fans love him. It's just me, Uso. He can get over, but he can't carry the fucking place. He can't carry the WWE. Sami Zayn, same thing. Sami Zayn, I'm glad he got the Intercontinental title right now. Sami Zayn's a mid card dude. He can't carry the WWE. Jimmy Uso ain't even mid card, bro. Jimmy Uso is like a step below the mid card. Jimmy Uso is not even at the level of these guys that I'm about to bring up. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, those are some of the guys that I like to mention. Some of the guys from AEW. Let me think about AEW and see some of the guys from AEW that might make the mid card. Well, all of AEW is mid card. Like no, I'm just playing. But I'm just using Jimmy Uso, Jay Uso, Sami Zayn, guys like Sheamus. Those are guys that are examples of the guys that I'm going to talk about. But I'm talking about legends. I'm talking about goats. I'm talking about the real ghost. Hey, what's up, Kyle? So, anyway, let me just start by saying this. First, mid card GOAT. It's my man Kurt Hennig, Mr. Perfect. That's right, Mr. Perfect spent time with Kurt Hennig in WCW. He was in the NWO in WCW, but he was in WWE as Mr. Perfect. He was in WCW as Kurt Hennig, and he was a great mid card guy. He was a great mid card guy, and I know he came there as a star, and he was portrayed as a star, and he went with the star manager Bobby Heenan. You know what I'm saying? And he had perfect, but here's the problem: there was Hulk Hogan. Hulk Hogan was the problem for Mr. Perfect. Hulk Hogan was the problem for Macho Man. Now look, hold on. Let me say something right now. Macho Man is not on this list because I do not in no way whatsoever consider Macho Man a mid-card wrestler, okay? Even though Macho Man spent a lot of time in the mid-card range, even though Macho Man spent a lot of time with the Intercontinental Championship, Macho Man was a star. Macho Man was a star. When Macho Man became World Heavyweight Champion, he stayed World Heavyweight Champion for a whole entire year. And he was able to, with Hogan, mind you, as the Mega Powers, he still carried the company. Macho Man was able to hold his own on the mic. Macho Man was able to hold his own in the ring. Macho Man was a real star, but Macho Man was also inhibited by Hulk Hogan. Hey, Cal, don't steal my thunder. He gonna say, "How about the Miz?" Cal said, "How about the Miz?" Don't be stealing my thunder, man. Because this, listen. The funny part about this is, he said, "How about the Miz?" And the funny part about this is that this episode was made particularly for the Miz. Because there's a lot of Miz hate and a lot of Miz slander going around, and I won't tolerate it. And I said, how can I show respect for the Miz without doing a whole Miz episode? And here it is. Here it is right here, but we'll get to the Miz later. But like I said, Hulk Hogan was such a big star that a lot of guys that were good enough to be that top guy were not going to never overshine Hogan. So we had like a lot of guys like Macho Man, who was a star. Roddy Piper was a star. Roddy Piper was a star, but Roddy Piper, he was the greatest heel in wrestling at the time. But Roddy Piper could never carry the company or never be put to that top echelon because Hulk Hogan had to hold the title. Hulk Hogan had to be champion for all those years in a row. And even when they did try to push Ultimate Warrior, because Ultimate Warrior was supposed to be a star, and they tried to push him, but when he got that belt, it went downhill. Everybody was just like, nope, this ain't Hulkamania. You know what I'm saying? So there's a lot of guys that aren't going to make this list because I felt like they were being held back by Hulk Hogan. And although I felt like Mr. Perfect was being held back by Hulk Hogan too, I never felt like Mr. Perfect would be that dude. You know how you watch Bret Hart, and Bret Hart had some great matches with Mr. Perfect, and Bret Hart was in the Hart Foundation, and Bret Hart had great matches, and you say, you know what, man, Bret Hart looked like that dude. Bret Hart looked like that dude. Bret Hart looked like he could carry the company, whatever, one day. And so I looked at Bret Hart differently than I look at Mr. Perfect. But Mr. Perfect was a great wrestler, great in ring. His gimmick was great, and he held the Intercontinental Championship for over a year. Now, mind you, he was in the Heenan family. Some of those matches was cheated. And I thought that the cheating tainted the performance because Mr. Perfect was putting in the work in the ring. You know what I'm saying? So I thought that the cheating tainted the performance, but I also said that Mr. Perfect, man, he was a real main card guy. Now this other guy might hurt some people's feelings. But you know what? I'm gonna skip that guy because I'm gonna skip that guy and come back to him. But he said, I think Lex Luger is a good one from WCW. That's right. Lex Luger definitely made my list. Now look, right? Here's the thing about Lex Luger. Lex Luger was one of those guys who I said, man, he was the total package, right? Total package Lex Luger. Buff and stuff. You know what I mean? Looked good. He looked like the world's heavyweight champion. Only problem is, it was Ric Flair. And Ric Flair did the same thing as Hulk Hogan did. Ric Flair was the champion WCW. Ric Flair was that man. And the only person that can get in Ric Flair's shadow and kind of fuck with him was Dusty Rhodes. But Dusty Rhodes couldn't be champion. You know what I mean? Like Dusty Rhodes couldn't carry the company. He had to talk and he had to walk, but it was just like, I don't know, dude. It was something about Dusty that didn't have the flair. Pun intended. He didn't have the flair. You know what I'm saying? But Lex Luger, I thought was going to be that dude. I thought was going to go to the upper echelon because he looked like it. The total package looked like he was going to be the total package. Then we found out my man can't talk. Lex Luger could not talk, dude. Like his promos was like real whack, bro. And I was just like, damn, man, he got to get his promo game up. Then he joined the enemy. Like it's like you can't overshadow the Horseman if you're gonna be in him. You can't overshadow Ric Flair if you're gonna be his right hand man. So I thought that putting him in the Horseman kind of played him down a little bit. So I was like, you know what? Lex Luger not gonna be that dude. And then he went to WWE, and I was like, yo, why go there? You not gonna be nowhere there. He wasn't even a good mid card guy there. Yeah. They tried to promote him. The narcissist Lex Luger. They tried that shit. Then that shit didn't work. Then they tried to go the Hulk Hogan route because Hulk Hogan was the real American. So they tried to make Lex Luger the real American, tried to say, oh, he can slam Yokozuna, and he put on the American trunks. They made him lose the, he won the Royal Rumble with Bret Hart. They tried to push him. It didn't work because Lex Luger outside of the ring was cornballish as hell. He was corny. And corny can't carry a company. He was just too corny. And then by the time he got to the WWE, he kind of like, his hair was kind of fucked up. I don't know what they did to my man's hair. When he was in WCW, he had nice hair. He looked like I said, he looked like an Adonis, like a champion. He went to WWE, he had some spiky shit. It was short. They cut it or something. It was ugly, man. I ain't gonna lie. It was fucking ugly. And he just, he wasn't it. He wasn't it. He wasn't doing it in the WWE like he was doing in WCW. So yeah, he was great. He played the mid card. He had the look and everything, but he wasn't good enough on the mic. And like I said, Ric Flair was there and it kind of overshadowed him. Sting was there and it kind of overshadowed him. Like he had a lot of people there. Same thing, Barry Windham. I thought Barry Windham was great. thought Barry Windham was going to stardom, and then he kind of just fizzled out. Won some United States championships, looked good in the ring all the time. Barry Windham was even kind of decent on the mic, and I don't know, I don't know what really happened to him to not make him be a top tier guy, but he was another one that was in WCW just playing that mid card and doing great at it, but just playing that mid card. So Barry Windham, Lex Luger, both mid card goats. Now this one's going to upset some people, and I think had my man not passed away, maybe he wouldn't be on this list, because this dude was great in the ring. This dude was great on the mic. This dude was great. I am not a nugget. He was great with all his gimmicks. He was everything he needed to be a star. He had the hard name. He was destined for stardom, and he tragically passed away. And I think that had he not passed away, Owen Hart would have probably made the GOAT list instead of the M.O.A.T list. But as it stands right now, I can't do it because we never know. We never know it. So right now, Owen Hart is on the M.O.A.T list. Now, he could probably be one of the top M.O.A.Ts, like maybe top 5 M.O.A.T of all time, because Owen was great. Owen was set to surpass Bret, in my opinion. Owen was king of the ring. Owen was 2-time Intercontinental Champion. Owen was tag team champions. Owen was everything that he needed to be in the upper echelon. Owen was everything he needed to be to make the GOAT list, but Owen's career was cut short, and Owen never was the head of the company. He never made it to the top notch, and so I can't do it. I want to do it, but I can't do it. Okay, so I can't put Owen Hart up there, but Owen Hart is definitely one of the one of the greatest mid-cards of all time. Next dude. I think this dude was excellent, bro. I thought he was excellent. Was he technical in the ring? No, but he had the physique. He was just like Lex Luger. He was WWE's answer to Lex Luger. Lex Luger was the total package. He had the physique. He was the total package Lex Luger. This dude, Ravishing Rick Rude, was ravishing. You know what I mean? He was that dude too. And he was in the Heenan family as well. And he was Intercontinental Champion as well. And he also won the WCW International Championship. Okay. And Rick Rude was insane, bro. He cut in-ring promos in front of every match, and it was excellent. He was like, "Oh, you fat, sloppy, lazy men, avert your eyes real quick while your woman takes a look at this. This is what a real man should look like. Hit the music." He opened his robe up, and he had that awesome physique. You know what I'm saying? And then he was pretty good in the ring. That Rude Awakening was a good move. I like that joint. He grabbed your head, turn you around, and then he posed with you. This little hip show, bam! Rude Awakening your ass, bro. So, Ravishing Rick Rude, Intercontinental Champion. He had a good feud with Ultimate Warrior. He didn't win the feud because they was trying to push Ultimate Warrior, but he pushed him to the limit. The limit! You know what I mean? He had Ultimate Warrior working, man. He had a lot of guys working back then, yo. He was pretty good. I like Ravishing Rick Rude. And I especially like him because, man, look, I promise you, I don't know. Remember, okay, so I did this thing where so there was this Facebook, a reel, whatever, where somebody was like, "Oh, if this was Vince McMahon's WWE, he would have did a skit or did some kind of storyline where Naomi would have been trying to find out who her baby daddy was between Jake and Jimmy Uso and all this and all that." And I said, no. McMahon would have probably tried that because that's his MO. He probably would try something like that, but I said no because they black, and black folks don't play like that. Black folks don't play with their fucking family like that. You know what I mean? I said that, right? And this is a prime example of, I don't know if Ravishing Rick Rude and Jake the Snake had real life beef. I haven't really heard the stories behind it. I really didn't see any documentaries where it said that these dudes fought backstage or these dudes had beef in real life. But I'm telling you right now, that there was no way in hell. There was no way in hell that Vince McMahon was going to be able to convince me to go out there and do that storyline between Ravishing Rick Rude and Jake the Snake. I, as a black man, would not have been a part of that program. My wife, as a black woman, would not have been a part of that program because shit would have got real quick. Okay. First of all, you ain't kissing my wife. Okay. You're not kissing my wife. Ravishing Rick Rude went down there and kissed Jake the Snake's wife. Jake the Snake's wife sitting in the front row of wrestling, whatever. He went down there, take a look at a real man, baby, and kiss her. First of all, like I know it was a work, I know it was a storyline, but I'm like, Jake, you letting this happen? You part of this? You and your wife is part of this? And I guess money talks and bullshit walks, but ain't enough money in the world. Plus, Ravishing Rick Rude look like Ravishing Rick Rude, and Jake the Snake look homeless. Jake the Snake didn't never look nice. He had a dad bod his whole career. He had that fucked up ass mustache that didn't look nice. Jake the Snake looked like he was bald, like he had a fucking. Jake the Snake just didn't look nice. Ravishing Rick Rude was simply ravishing. You know what I'm saying? And so it's like, I don't even want to tempt my wife with nothing like that, right? I don't even want my wife looking at this dude, let alone kissing him, right? But that didn't even take the cake. That didn't even take the cake. So he goes on in this feud with Jake the Snake Roberts after he kissed his wife, disrespect him, blah, blah, blah. But not only did he kiss her, not only did he talk about her on every single show, every chance he got, Jake the Snake, you know your wife loved it. You know your wife wanted it. Bam, bam, gyrating and all that. Talk about my man's wife. But then during their match, this motherfucker, Lord bless me. Lord bless me. This dude opens his robe up and he has the trunks on with Jake the Snake's wife's face painted on my man's crotch. Had her face on his crotch and he's gyrating on her. And I'm just like, yo, I'm seeing him in the back, bro. I'm seeing him in the back. That was one of the most insane things I ever seen in my life. And I'm going to give it up for Jake the Snake Roberts and Ravishing Rick Rude for doing that. Jake the Snake, you a better man than me. And Ravishing Rick Rude, that was on some Randy Orton level style of fucking villainy. You know what I mean? That was on some Randy Orton style of being a heel. You know what I'm saying? That was crazy insane. All right. Listen, I don't have many guys from ECW on this list. And the reason why there are not many guys from ECW on this list is because ECW, to me, did not have really a mid-card. ECW didn't really have a mid-card. Like when I was a kid, we went to ECW, everybody that came out just was a banger. Like anybody that came out, like you saw Sandman, you saw Rob Van Dam, you saw Tommy Dreamer, you saw Sabu, you saw like anybody you saw when Mick Foley was there, Cactus Jack, Terry Funk was there, you know, all them guys was there. Even when Stone Cold was there for a little bit, you know what I'm saying? Everybody there was kind of like, this is a show. We's all stars. This is the show. There was no leadership. There was no guy running the show. There was no main guy there. I mean, RVD was probably one of their main guys. I mean, I don't know. I just think that ECW was the most evenly killed wrestling program because it wasn't like definitively belonging to one show. Like when you watch WWE, it was definitively Hulk Hogan. When it was WWF, it was Hulk Hogan. Okay, when you watched NWA, or WCW, it was Ric Flair. It was Dusty Rhodes. It was Sting for a little bit. You know what I mean? But it was definitive guys. When you watch ECW, it was like anybody could get it. Anybody at any time could come out here and get it on, baby. And we didn't care because ECW was trash. It was like it was fun. It was exciting. It was wrestling. The characters were great. The arena, because it was 2300 arena, it was intimate. It was great. But for real, it was trash. It was trash. They didn't need stars. They didn't need major promotion. So I don't have guys from ECW on this list except for Rob Van Dam. And I have Rob Van Dam on this list because Rob Van Dam made a good transition to the majors, made a good transition to the WCW, made a good transition to WWE, and became a dude that was reliable, became a dude that could rock the mid-card. And other guys tried it. They're like, other guys tried it, but Tommy Dreamer didn't do too good. You know what I'm saying? Mick Foley surpassed, Cactus Jack went above it. Terry Funk, he played the mid card too. Terry Funk could probably make this list. He may have some mid card things, but Rob Van Dam was the star that didn't make it to the top. And I don't know why he didn't make it to the top. I don't know if they didn't like him. I didn't know. Vince McMahon was kind of the guy that if you didn't come from me, you're not going to succeed. That's why he kind of fucked Dusty Rhodes' career up. And I think that a lot of guys that came from WCW could have been better. Like, I mean, he did do a lot good for Booker T, but a lot of those guys that came over from WCW, he wasn't trying to mess with. Chris Jericho, became a star or whatever. But I don't know what kind of held Rob Van Dam back. Maybe he was too old. Maybe he was too tired, but he still looked good. He was still frog splashing his ass off. So I don't know why Rob Van Dam didn't make it past the mid-card, but he's the ECW mid-card guy. The other guy I brought up during the Ravishing Rick Rude thing was Jake the Snake. But you know what, though? You know what? I put Jake the Snake on the mid-card list because Jake the Snake, he was a good character. He was a good character. When he turned heel and he was doing the trust me, trust me, trust me. He had some good matches with Ted DiBiase. He threw the snake on people, shit like that. You know what I mean? Jake the Snake was an interesting character, but now I'm thinking about taking Jake the Snake off this list because what did he do? What did Jake the Snake do? He didn't really accomplish much. I don't think Jake the Snake ever even held any championship. Jake the Snake never even got a title. Yeah, he had a good program with Undertaker, but he lost. He had a good program with Ravishing Rick Rude, but he lost. He had a good program with Macho Man, but he lost. I mean, Jake the Snake is kind of might be on the boat list. Jake the Snake is a big fat loser. They should be calling him Job the Snake. As a matter of fact, they should be calling Jake the Snake Job the Snake, because that's all he did was job out. Now, he did an excellent job of jobbing out. You see what I did there? He did an excellent job as a jobber. But now I'm thinking, like, man, he was on the M.O.A.T list because I just remember Jake the Snake as being this guy. But now I have delusions of grandeur because this dude ain't win shit. I don't know if dude had any successful programs. Did he beat Honky Tonk Man before? Did he beat Honky Tonk Man? Did Jake the Snake beat Honky Tonk Man? Anybody in wrestling, tell me did Jake the Snake beat Honky Tonk Man? Because if they at least beat Honky Tonk Man, I might consider putting him back on this list. But as of right now, Jake the Snake is just he's Job the Snake. He's a loser, and I'm taking him off. He's not a M.O.A.T. He's not one of the greatest mid-cards of all time. I thought he was in my head, but now if my memory serves me correct, no. All he did was put snakes on people. Same reason why the money, the $1 Million Man is not making this list. Now look, mind you, if you know about the $1 Million Man, you know that Ted DiBiase was putting in that work in NWA. In NWA, Ted DiBiase was putting in that work. He was battling Dr. Death Steve Williams. He was having matches that rivaled Ric Flair. He was fighting Tully Blanchard and Arn Anderson. He was fighting Ric Flair. He was putting in that work in NWA. And then when he got to WWF, I guess the money changed my man up. He became the $1 Million Man, but he wasn't putting on them $1 million matches, bro. He wasn't putting on them $1 million matches. His claim to fame was getting to the finals of the World's Heavyweight Tournament, and he cheated to do that. He had Andre the Giant helping him out in his corner, and he cheated to do that. And then ultimately, he didn't even win that. Then he got with Mike Rotunda. Mike Rotunda, another mid-card guy. Mike Rotunda is on the mid-card list. Mike Rotunda, was good. Came to the WWE, wasn't that great. IRS wasn't that great. You know what I mean? Teamed up $1 Million Man. They won some tag team championships, Money Incorporated. Okay, they did a couple of things, but no, man. He didn't put on them fire matches. He did do good promos because he had the money and he stuffed the $100 bill in people's mouths, and that was classic. That was classic promos. He did try to buy the World Heavyweight Championship from Hulk Hogan. That was a classic thing. And he did have that nice-ass $1 million belt. He did have that nice-ass $1 million belt. But as far as wrestling is concerned, as far as him, like, being a banger, like, yeah, he might have been the main mid-card guy in NWA, but WWE, nah, man, I can't give it to him, man. He didn't really accomplish much. And I don't remember his definitive banging-ass matches. So no, money, $1 Million Man is not on this list. But you know who is on this list? That's right. Goldust is on this list. And look, Goldust is on this list for two reasons. Goldust is Dustin Rhodes, and Dustin Rhodes was killing it. Killing it. When he was in WCW, I thought he was going to be a star there. He was like a Barry Windham type dude. He was doing real good in WCW, and I was like, yo, Goldust's about to be, well, Dustin Rhodes is about to be a star, and then he was gone. Then he was in WWE as Goldust, and I was like, oh, shit, what is going on here? And it was weird, and it was crazy, but he was still good in ring, and he cut the greatest promos. They was a little gay. They was a little gay. It was a little, what they call it, ambiguous. They was a little ambiguous, but they was great promos, man. Like all those, and to pull that shit off with a straight face, and to do all the things he did in the ring with a straight face, and have his paint be immaculate, and also that entrance was bomb. That entrance was one of the greatest entrances I ever seen. Where the lights go out and they get gold, you see the little gold dust splatters in the thing, and you see the producer's chair, and it was like a movie came up, and you had Merlina right there in the chair, and she was sitting there with him, and then it was awesome, man. And he put on good matches, won some Intercontinental Championships, and what is it, Hardcore Championships or whatever the case may be. Goldust was at work. And anybody in WWE who was a star at the time, even if they did beat him, you know he was in a fight, bro. Goldust was not no chump. Goldust came in that ring ready for work. Okay, now look, the best thing was when Roddy Piper stripped him. When Roddy Piper stripped Goldust, he had on the panties and the bra. Yo, look at this. This is blasphemy. Look at this right here. Look. Goldust sucked. That's blasphemy. This comes from a guy. Listen, this comes from a guy who wants to be. He wants to be me so bad. He wants to be me so bad. You know, he wants to argue with me about wrestling so bad. He wants to be me so bad that he just comes on here and he just gives bad takes. Goldust sucked. Goldust sucked. What? Then he goes gay. Oh man, Goldust was not gay though. That was the whole part about it. Dustin Rhodes is not gay. And so for him to play that character like the way he played it, bro, Goldust was fucking awesome. I don't care what nobody say. Goldust put on banging matches in the ring. Goldust had a banging ass entrance. Goldust won some Intercontinental Championships. Goldust had some tag team championships. Goldust had the Hardcore Championship. Goldust was the Hardcore champion. Goldust also did wear panties in the bra though, but you know, we ain't gonna talk about that. And that guy is William Regal, dude. William Regal he didn't have the look. I ain't gonna lie, he didn't have the look. He had kind of like a dad bod to me, and in his accent, and he was not that great in ring. But William Regal was a dude that you could count on. William Regal also was kind of a loser, but he was a dude that came out and put on banging ass matches, and he was a dude that was willing to help other people look better, and it was just I got to give William Regal props all the years and all the matches and everything that he put that work in. And then he went to, in two organizations, to be a dude that you can count on in the ring, to be a dude that you can count on to do a good work. You know what I'm saying? So I really like William Regal. And William Regal won a couple of championships. And William Regal is a guy that's now like still working, man, still helping other young wrestlers and just being a part of wrestling in general. So I'm willing to put William Regal on my M.O.A.T list. You know what else I put on my M.O.A.T list? The man that was oozing machismo. You know what I mean? Dum. That's right. I'm putting Scott Hall. Razor Ramon is on my M.O.A.T list. Now look, Razor Ramon was another one. Razor Ramon was a dude that I thought was going to stardom. Razor Ramon was a dude that I thought was going to be like one of the top guys. Like he was going to be world champion. Like he was going to be able to carry a company. And he just ran into Shawn Michaels. He just ran into Shawn Michaels. And if you're running into Shawn Michaels, you're not gonna be it. Yeah, Razor Ramon was Intercontinental Champion. Yeah, he got the Intercontinental Champion. Yeah, he beat Shawn Michaels a couple times, whatever the case may be. But when Shawn Michaels put on those matches with Razor Ramon, they said Shawn is a star. Shawn is a star. Shawn had the temperature rising, and that meant nobody else was going up there. Nobody else at that time was going up there. So Razor Ramon had to fall back a little. And then Razor Ramon had to join the NWO and go to WCW because, But he was still good there. The NWO was great there. The Outsiders was great there. And Razor Ramon was a good dude, man. Good in ring, good on the mic. He had the look. He did the NWO shit, which the NWO was some of the greatest shit in wrestling history. They became like an army, NWO army. It got wild, got crazy. Virgil was in it. It got real bad at the end, but when it first started with the Outsiders and it was Kevin Nash and Scott Hall, pretty good. Pretty good. So Razor Ramon can make this list. Then I wrote down on my paper, I wrote down Kofi Kingston. I wrote down Kofi Kingston. I did. But now I'm scribbling it out. Kofi Kingston ain't making this list. I don't know why I put him on this list. I was thinking that Kofi Kingston was, he's just like Jake the Snake. I was thinking that he was better than anybody was. Kofi Kingston was a high flyer, put on couple of good matches, but most of the time he spent all his life being in the New Day and winning tag team championships, and that's just not enough. That's just not enough. And then, I think he had one Intercontinental Championship reign or something out of you. See, it ain't memorable. And then he did win the World Heavyweight Championship, but I didn't. I thought that was very fluky. I thought that was a mistake. I thought that was an accident. I thought that was a way of the WWE maybe saying, hey, we're going to give a black man a chance. I don't know what that was, because I was not down with that. I was like, ain't no way Kofi Kingston should have this belt, bro. So no, Kofi Kingston's not going to be on my list, man. I'm sorry. I'm going to take Kofi Kingston. Who else on my list? AJ Styles. Now look, I know that might upset some people too, because AJ Styles was really a star in TNA. He was a star in TNA. But yeah, almost everybody was a star in TNA. I feel like TNA was kind of like just like ECW in a sense, you know what I mean? It was Austin Aries, it was Samoa Joe, it was AJ Styles, you know what I mean? I felt like they was all kind of like even kill, you know what I mean? I never felt like one of them was just like the star putting above the rest. So they all were kind of like mid card, and then all of them came to WWE and mid card. You know what I'm saying? I mean, Samoa Joe is in AEW right now, being a trios champ, mid carding. You know what I'm saying? So with that being the case, AJ Styles is a great mid card. AJ Styles is a guy that can put on a great match. AJ Styles is a guy that has won some individual championships. He's won our heavyweight championship in WWE, but he ain't carried the company. He's never been that top guy. AJ Styles is another one. You can count on him in the ring. You can count on him to cut decent promos. You can count on him to have skills. You can count on him to look good. You can count on everything with AJ Styles except being the top guy. And that's all right, because that's what this list is for. This list is to appreciate the guys that can't be the top guy, but can look like a top guy at times. So AJ Styles is a guy that makes my M.O.A.T list. The same thing with, man. Bobby Roode, man. I want to put Bobby Roode on this list so bad because I loved him, dude. I loved him. I love James Storm too. But I can't put Bobby Roode or James Storm on this list. Bobby Roode done so much, and he's so good, but I don't know what happened. He got to the WWE, and it kind of, I don't know what happened to him, man. Somebody please explain to me why Bobby Roode couldn't be a star. Somebody please explain to me why James Storm's light went out. You know what I mean? Like, these were guys that I thought would raise up to the upper echelon. I thought Bobby Roode and James Storm were going to raise up to the upper echelon, and they didn't, bro. They didn't, and I want to put them on this list so bad, but they didn't even raise up to the mid-card level because, like, you get out of TNA, you go to the big time, and then you kind of just job out. You know what I mean? You kind of just don't really make that mid-card name for yourself. So I just, I don't know. Ricky the Dragon Steamboat. Ricky the Dragon Steamboat makes the mid-card list. See, I don't understand. Back in the NWA, Ricky the Dragon Steamboat put on some fire matches with my boy Ric Flair. Ricky the Dragon Steamboat was probably Ric Flair's greatest opponent, if I'm being honest with you, because Ric Flair fought everybody, but he fought those big guys that just muscle bound dudes that fucking didn't do nothing for him. He just had to overcome their size. And he fought some technical wrestlers like, like the Bret Harts and stuff like that. But the real matches that Ric Flair had, where Ric Flair actually showed off his real wrestling skills, where I was like, you know what, Ric Flair is that dude, was when he had to wrestle Ricky the Dragon Steamboat. With the roll-ups, with all the mat work, with all the technical wrestling and all that skill. Ricky the Dragon Steamboat had them skills to pay the bills, but the problem with Ricky the Dragon Steamboat is that he went to WWE and he had to deal with guys like Hogan. He had to deal with guys like Mr. Perfect. He had to deal with guys like Bret Hart. He had to deal with guys like the Macho Man Randy Savage. And he wasn't overcoming all of that star power, dude. He wasn't overcoming all of that star power because he wasn't great mic-wise. And he wasn't great look-wise. And he was a dude that another dude that could put on a great match and get beat up, but I'm just giving him props because I've never seen nobody wrestle Flair like the way Ricky the Dragon Steamboat wrestled Flair, and he had a great program with Macho Man and hurt his neck and all that stuff. And Ricky the Dragon Steamboat, man, he was that dude for a while. People respected him. People might even be mad that he's on the M.O.A.T list and not on the GOAT list because people might consider him one of the greatest of all time, but no. No, this is as far as you go, Mr. Ricky the Dragon Steamboat. Okay, another one. This is as far as you go. JEFFJREET. Jeff Jarrett. Jeff Jarrett. Now listen here. I'm going to say this, and I'm going to be honest, and I'm going to say this perfectly clear. I do not like Jeff Jarrett. I've never liked Jeff Jarrett. I don't think I ever will like Jeff Jarrett. But Jeff Jarrett put in a lot of work just to be like a mid-card dude. Just to be a mid-card dude. Jeff Jarrett been wrestling forever. He was just in AEW doing some shit. But Jeff Jarrett's been wrestling forever in TNA. He's been all over the place. The Indies, the WWE, WCW. He's been everywhere and he's done everything. This dude is like a workhorse of wrestling. And that's why he makes the M.O.A.T list, because he's a workhorse of wrestling, but he ain't put in enough work to be a top guy. Yeah, he did. He did win the WCW World Championship. But that does not make you always a top guy. Just like I said, Yeet won the WWF Championship. Nobody ever thought of him as a top guy. I don't know why the main event Jey Uso is a name that they just made up for him. That I think Roman Reigns just said it and everybody ran with it, but he ain't that dude. He ain't that dude. And Jeff Jarrett was never that dude. He won the WCW World Championship. He won a couple of U.S. championships. He was Intercontinental Champion in WWE itself. And that's great. He had a good, long career, and he was a great dude. But he was never that top guy. He was never going to be the guy running the show for any major thing. I think he ran the show for a while on TNA. I think in TNA for a while he was that top guy, but TNA is not enough. Being a top guy in TNA is not enough for me to put you in the upper echelon on the GOAT list. But he can make the M.O.A.T list and be proud of yourself. Be proud of yourself for that. I wrote down Lance Storm because I thought Lance Storm had a good run as a mid-card guy in WCW. He did. Lance Storm was one of those guys that put good work in. He did that whole Canadian versus American type thing, and that worked out for him. And he was really good in WCW. And then he fizzled out. And then his WWE career wasn't the same. And I don't know if the career in WWE is enough for me to take him off the list. But I don't know if the career in WCW is enough for me to keep him on the list. So I'm going to just err on the side of caution and say, no, fuck Lance Storm. He's not on the list. I'm taking him off. Lance Storm doesn't make the M.O.A.T list at all. Nope, forget about him. Take him off. Who else can make the M.O.A.T list? Let me see. Oh, you know what? This guy. These two guys, I'm going to say these two guys are going to make my M.O.A.T list just because they was part of the Four Horsemen. And I'm going to go with Arn Anderson and Tully Blanchard. Arn Anderson and Tully Blanchard were part of the Four Horsemen, so they was always going to be in Ric Flair's shadow, but they put out good matches. Like Tully Blanchard was a very good technical wrestler in the ring. He put out good matches. He didn't really say much in the promos because Arn Anderson cut the promos most of the time, but Tully Blanchard was there and he was a part of it. And he was part of the Four Horsemen, you know what I'm saying? And when they came to WWE, they did win some tag team championships. You just couldn't separate them, man. I would like to have seen them really get down with their solo career. I mean, Arn Anderson did some solo stuff a little bit, but I really grouped them together as a group. But because they was in the Four Horsemen and because they was around so long, because they did so much in the NWA and WCW, WWE, I kind of I'm not gonna put them on the list because I didn't put Kofi Kingston on the list. And if I'm going to do mid cards based on tag teams, then I can put if I'm going to do mid cards based on tag teams, then Kofi Kingston would make it. You know what I'm saying? So I'm not going to put them on the list. I'm not going to put Arn Anderson and Tully Blanchard on the M.O.A.T list only because their singles careers wasn't at that level. But it's hard for me to not want to put them on some list because they were good. They were in the Horsemen. And I think I did the tag teams, but yeah, whatever. I'm just not going to put them on the list. I'm going to put Raven on the list. I'm going to put Raven on the list only because I like Raven a lot, and Raven was one of those guys that his gimmick was a good gimmick, and Raven did perform good in that ring. And I think that WCW kind of fucked it up because they kind of kept the gimmick and they kind of kept it for too long. And then Sting was kind of essentially Crow Sting was kind of the new Raven. And it was kind of like, oh, Raven did Raven, but Sting did Raven better than Raven did Raven. So you know what? No, man, Raven's not going on this list. Because now I don't think about it, Sting did Raven better than Raven did Raven. So how can Raven be one of the greatest mid-cards when somebody else did it better than you? Did your own gimmick better than you? And it wasn't even his gimmick because Sting was like doing the Crow thing, but that was kind of Raven's gimmick, like Crow, Raven, and he kind of acted like that. It was kind of the same thing. But now that I think about it, I don't want Raven on this list. Do I? No, I don't. I don't want Raven on this list. Let me see. Let me see if I can think of any more guys. Let me see if I can think of any more guys. No, he was a bum. He was a bum. See, the thing is, mid card is close to bum. You know what I'm saying? The M.O.A.T list is close to the boat list. So if you don't make the M.O.A.T list, you kind of on the other side of the M.O.A.T list, which kind of almost puts you in a bum category. So there's guys that I don't. There's a lot of guys that I'm missing that I don't want to put on this list because I don't think they were M.O.A.Ts. But they're not. But they're kind of tempting me to put on this list because I don't want to put them on the boat list because they're not the bummiest of all time. Like Arriba, Tito Santana. Tito Santana is not a M.O.A.T. Yeah, I think he won a couple of Intercontinental Championships. I think when he was with Jim Powers, I think they won the Tag Team Championships a couple of times. Tito Santana put on great matches. And listen, I did not like when Tito Santana became the El Matador. I did not like when Tito Santana became the El Matador. But Tito Santana put on some solid matches. Tito Santana was a solid dude. I just don't think he did enough to be on a greatest of all time list. But I do think that he did enough to keep him off the bummy jump. It's just like Rick Martel. Rick Martel, the same thing. Rick Martel never made it to the upper echelon. Rick Martel never made it to be a top guy. And I don't know if Rick Martel made it to be a great mid-card guy, but Rick Martel is not a bum. So what do you call guys that are not mid-card, but not bottom barrel? What do you call those dudes? Solid? Do I have to make a SOAT list? A SOAT list, a list of all the solid wrestlers? Solid! Solid as a rock, bow, bow, bow. Because that's how I feel about Tito Santana. That's how I feel about Raven. That's how I feel about Bobby Roode and James Storm. That's how I feel about William Regal, even though I put Regal on this list because Regal's been solid for a long time. That's how I feel about Rob Van Dam. He's on the list because he's been solid for a long time. That's how I feel about Tito Santana. You know what I mean? So, yeah, maybe I should do a solid list. And then some of these guys that's not M.O.A.T s, but not boats. can end up on that list? I don't know. I'm thinking about it. But I'm gonna end this M.O.A.T list. And I know I missed a lot of M.O.A.Ts, probably. But I don't got time, okay? Listen, I'm not one of those guys that's going to podcast for 3 hours. I'm one of those dudes that gets in where he fits in and gets out when he runs out of what he's talking about. I don't know. I made that up. But yeah, I saved the best for last. And nobody, listen, people want to argue with me all they want. And you can argue with me all you want to argue with. And I'm saying in my mind, in my body, in my soul, in my spirit, on everybody and everything that I love, I would put Miz on the GOAT list. You heard it right, the GOAT list. Not the M.O.A.T list, but the GOAT list, because in my mind, my body, my soul, my spirit, Miz is one of the greatest wrestlers of all time. And I can make an argument that Miz makes my top 30. I can make an argument that Miz makes my top 30, and I promise you that if I did do a top 30 list and sat down right now and actually did a top 30 list of my 30 greatest wrestlers of all time, Miz might end up in the top 20. He might end up in the top 20, but for the sake of argument, for the sake of the people who hate the Miz, for the sake of everybody that tells me the Miz is garbage, for the sake of everybody that don't want to give the Miz his proper due, I'm going to meet you halfway. I'm going to meet you halfway. So instead of saying Miz is one of the top 20 greatest wrestlers of all time, which I think if I did my list, he'd probably end up there, I'm going to fall back a little. I'm going to fall back a little bit, and I'm going to say top 30. And instead of putting Miz on my GOAT list, greatest of all time, because I think once you get past, top 10, you're kind of going into a little bit, Maybe if you do top 20, top 15, I mean, greatest of all time list can't have 30 guys. Greatest of all time, I'm saying you got to cut that list down to 15 dudes. 15 is the cutoff for greatest of all time. So I'm not going to put Miz on the GOAT list. Not. Even though I think he's one of the GOATs. But the M.O.A.T list, if there was a M.O.A.T champion of the world, it would be Miz. Miz is a Grand Slam WWE champion. Miz created his own character. The Miz is his character. The Miz was not created by WWE. The Miz was not created by Vince McMahon. The Miz was not created by WWE Creative. The Miz did not have Paul Heyman's hand in it. The Miz did not have what's the guy? Brother Love. I forgot his real name, but he played Brother Love. The Miz did not have his name in it. The Miz did not have nobody contributed to the Miz. The Miz was his own character, and he made it up, and he was the Miz, and he was awesome. He had a good theme song. I came to play. The price to pay. You know what I mean? Miz did everything right. Miz cut promos. Miz was cool, got over as a babyface. Miz got over as a heel. Miz was the perfect asshole. Made you hate him. And the problem is that the hate for Miz is so bad that people was hating him in real life. People don't want him on this list right now, not because he ain't a great wrestler, not because he didn't do good in ring, not because he didn't cut good promos, not because he didn't have a great career, not because he wasn't a Grand Slam champion, tag team champion, Intercontinental champion multiple times. I think 9 times or something. Like he was Intercontinental champion a bunch of times. Grand Slam champion, World Heavyweight champion, undisputed heavyweight champion. Now, yeah, Miz couldn't carry the company. They didn't want him to. They didn't want Miz to carry the company. They just gave him respect. Those was respect championships. You know what I'm saying? Miz also was the ultimate jobber. He put over anybody that they wanted him to put over at any time that they wanted him to put people over. Miz was a great worker. Miz is that business, bro. Miz is that work. And Miz is the top M.O.A.T guy. And Miz just made me think of another guy, Dolph Ziggler, Nick Nemeth. Nick Nemeth he goes on the M.O.A.T list. He couldn't be a top guy. He did win a championship, but Nick Nemeth is one of those other guys. Great heel, great baby face, put on great matches. He ain't on Miz level. But Dolph Ziggler, Nick Nemeth, I'll put him on the M.O.A.T list, but back to the Miz. I don't understand the Miz slander. I don't understand the Miz hate. But out of all these guys I just named, Miz is better than everybody on this list. And I stand on that. I stand on that. Was Miz better in ring than Mr. Perfect? No. No. But if you look at the criteria for the M.O.A.T list, Miz stands out. Because Miz has done the most as a M.O.A.T. Miz is the most goated M.O.A.T. You know what I'm saying? Miz has done more on the M.O.A.Ts than the M.O.A.Ts have done. He's done more than Mr. Perfect. He's done more than Owen Hart. He's done more than Rick Rude. He's done more than Tito Santana. Done more than Goldust. More than Razor Ramon. He's done more than every single person on the mid-card list. Okay, but I will admit that Miz cannot carry a company. I will admit that Miz championship reigns were transitional championship reigns. I will admit that in the past few years, Miz has been jobbing out. But excuse me, here's what y'all won't admit. Y'all won't admit that Miz has also uplifted a lot of people. Uplifted a lot of people. Because when Morrison left Eminem and he had no career path and he wasn't doing good as a singles wrestler, what happened? Miz and Morrison, tag team champions. Miz and Morrison, great matches. Miz and Morrison had a great program when they broke up, showcased all of Morrison's great wrestling skills, put John Morrison back on the map when WWE, I think, was really about to fire that man. Miz kept his job for at least another year, maybe 2 years. Miz kept Morrison's job there. And I like John Morrison. I think he was great. But let's be clear, without Miz and Morrison, John Morrison was definitely going to be on the road again. You know what I'm saying? What about R-Truth? What was R-Truth doing? Like, we want to be like R-Truth. We want to be mad that R-Truth was let go and fired or whatever they want to say. We wanted to be mad. Oh, Ryan Killings, y'all never gave this just due. Y'all treated him like shit, whatever. But the awesome truth revitalized that man's career because before that, R-Truth was just jobbing out. R-Truth was just jobbing out. Fuck being fired. I told that man to quit. I made videos telling R-Truth, just quit, man. You don't got to keep going out there in your 50s and getting your ass whooped for nothing. But then the awesome truth happened, and I was like, oh shit, look at R-Truth. And it was good, and it was great, and it was because of the power of the Miz. It was because of the power of the Miz. Right? If you joined the tag team with the Miz, you was going to win some shit. Now look, I know Mello don't Miz. Everybody's going to bring that up. Mello don't Miz ain't win no shit. Mello don't Miz ain't win no shit. But look at here, and something's going on with Mello, dude. Something's going on with Mello. Mello was supposed to be the next guy. He was supposed to be the next man up. He's supposed to be a star in WWE, and he's not working out, right? And I think something's going on with his creative. I think he's hitting that Jey Uso type thing where, like, yeah, you good. Yeah, you can put on good in-ring matches. Yeah, you got a good song. Yeah, you cutting decent promos, dude, but you're just missing something. You're missing something, bro, and you got to find that something. And they got him with the Miz, and the Miz is trying to find that something. And I do think that they're going to win the tag team championships. I do think that they're going to have a small little tag team reign. And I do think that what's going to happen is this: another breakup. Mello don't Miz is going to break up, and they're going to put on a fire match, maybe a fire program, maybe a trilogy of matches, and Mello's going to overcome those trilogies because Miz is going to put him over. Miz might win like the second one, and then Mello's going to win the third one, and that's going to push him to the upper echelon, and then he can do all these promos about how I got rid of Miz. Miz was holding me back and all that kind of shit that they're going to do, and maybe he'll get a push that way. But teaming him up with the Miz is a great thing because Miz makes other people better. Miz makes stars. Miz is the best mid-card guy in the history of wrestling anywhere, anybody, and I stand on it. So that's it. This is my M.O.A.T list. And thanks to Sean Parks and thanks to Cal Chapman who showed up here. Thanks to anybody who's going to watch this later. And anybody who has some more M.O.A.Ts to add. Because I know there are people who watch other wrestling things, AAA and there's other wrestling. I watch Battleground, but I don't, like I said, all them other wrestling things that I watch, like AAA, like Battleground, Titan Wrestling I watched before, and what is it? What's back? In TNA is back on, and all those wrestlings. I feel like all of those guys are stars. I feel like they're kind of like all progressing on their own. And so it's hard for me to make a moat list of guys from those from the indies, because all the indies are stars, all the indies are putting in work, all the indies most of the time when I go to Battleground, mostly all those matches are good. You know what I'm saying? So I think they're all putting in work. So I really think that once these people start getting to the upper echelons, to the WWEs, the AEWs, even TNA now, you know what I'm saying? Maybe we'll be able to add them to the M.O.A.T list. But until now, that's my M.O.A.T list. And Miz is the mid-card heavyweight champion of the world. And if anybody want to debate that, you're welcome to debate it. You could comment. You can email me. You can text me. If you got my phone number, you can call me on the phone. You can go on Facebook and say some shit. You can do whatever you like. You can come on this show. You can come on the show. You can be a guest and you can debate with me all you want about the Miz. And Sean is coming back. Sean is coming back because we have some more conversating to do. I bust his ass twice, and I'm going to bust his ass again. And that's it. That's it. And today's episode was brought to you by Ralph Lauren. That's right, Ralph Lauren. If you want some nice clothes, go and get you some polos. Okay. If you want some nice clothes, you go and get you some polos, because that's what I like. That's most of my wardrobe. And I haven't been wearing it a lot on the podcast lately because I wear my Lister shirt. And I want to promote myself more than I want to promote Ralph Lauren, but I was feeling it today. So today's episode was brought to you by Ralph Lauren. And as always, the co-host is here. 1800 jalapeno cucumber. Always here and always good. The NFL season about to start. Y'all see it. Season starts tomorrow. Sunday. Y'all see it. NBA season coming soon. Y'all see it. And I'm gonna be on here talking my shit about it. But until then, I'll see y'all next time. Thanks for coming.